All right, let's try and discuss this in a very organized, non-angry manner. So, listen, I want to start off by saying I am not a Boston Bruins fan. I like the Boston Bruins. I like watching the Boston Bruins. I do get a little bit passionate sometimes about Boston because I'm not a fan, but I like them. I like the team. I think that, they've made some good decisions, they've made some bad decisions. But this whole Swayman thing is, it's all so mind-blowing to me. So, apparently, the last free agent yesterday, restricted free agent, Nikita Alexandrov, you probably don't know who he is, but he signed a deal with the St. Louis Blues that makes Jeremy Swayman the only restricted free agent left. And as of right now, at the time of recording of this video, we are a week away from opening night where Boston plays Florida in Florida's cup raising game, or cup banner raising game, which they do every single year. And they are without their starting goaltender, Jeremy Swayman. And there have been a lot of talks, especially since training camp started, about, why isn't a contract close? Sweeney initially said, I'm optimistic we'll find a landing spot by December 1st. I don't really know if that makes Bruins fans that happy or not worried at all. Because if I heard that, I would be like, really? Really? December 1st? Now, again, I understand the other side of that. You don't want to say opening night, because there's a chance that you might not get a deal done by opening night. It honestly looks like that's probably not going to happen unless if something majorly changes within the next couple of days here. But that was the one thing that we heard Sweeney also denied, saying that, spin on yourself podcast about how I wouldn't return people's calls. And, it really seemed like, I don't think it was true. But then again, why would the Chicklets make that up? Just saying. So then we didn't hear a lot. We heard some reports heading up into this week. And then yesterday we got a couple of bombs dropped on us involving Swayman, where there was a beginning of the season press conference with Cam Neely, Don Sweeney, Jim Montgomery, and I believe somebody else, I think maybe an assistant GM. And they asked Cam Neely the question of, what do you think what is his deal? What's his ask? What's your ask? And Neely said something along the lines of, well, I'm not going to get into the weeds of what he wants, but I have a 64 million reasons why I would play right now. And what I take from that is that my math isn't good. I'm not a great math person, but 64 divided by 8. See, there it is. 64 divided by 8 equals 8. So it looks like they offered him an 8x8 deal. Now, first off, I don't think that it's cool to really call out a player like that, saying, yeah, I'm offering him $8 million and he should sign. I didn't think that was cool. They were kind of trying to vilify Swayman there a little bit, but it does make you kind of look and say, yeah, I don't know, maybe Swayman's track record isn't really, he's only had one season at the helm. Well, you also got to factor in that the salary cap's going up. The cap's going up, and especially, too, if Swayman signs an 8x8, we are going to get to the point where we're in, 2030, and he's still going to be on that deal, and people are going to be like, he's getting paid 8? Goalies at that point could get paid 12 or 13 million. Hell, 15 or 16 million, even more than that. With the way that the cap is rising, I understand why Swayman wants a little more than $8 million. Well, so we thought. And then Louis Gross, who, listen, is somebody that I'm a little, I don't know about. Because honestly, I look at Gross. He was somebody who was involved with the new William Nylander thing that happened a few years ago when he had a standoff. Well, he said today last night, that he denied the 8x8, denied that offer was on the table. So that was a massive turn of events. I did not expect that to happen whatsoever. I guess I can read the I'll read the statement from the agent so I don't get anything wrong, but this made people's heads turn last night. So, from Louis Gross, who represents Jeremy Swayman, normally I do not release statements or discuss negotiations through the media. However, in this case, I feel I need to defend my client. At today's press conference, $64 million were referenced. This was the first time, not the last time, that number was discussed in our negotiations. Prior to the press conference, no offer was made reaching that level. We are extremely disappointed. This was not fair to Jeremy. We will take a few days to discuss where we go from here. So, yeah. This is getting ugly. This is getting really ugly between Swayman's camp and the Bruins organization. It looks ugly right now. And especially, too, when we hear reports that Korpisalo is going to be their starter, their opening night starter. It doesn't make people very optimistic that he's going to be signed by the start of the season. So it looks like they are preparing to start the season without Jeremy Swayman. And I think even if you get a contract done today, the very day that this video drops, Swayman signs like a couple hours later, which would not surprise me at all. But hypothetically, if that happens, he's probably still missing the first game or two of the season because he's not in shape. He might be in shape, but missing training camp affects any player. It affects a goalie especially. So that makes me a little bit worried there when I look at that. Now, there was an article last night released by Elliot Friedman where he kind of talked about it a little bit and kind of talked about, what was Swayman thinking when, the Neely comment dropped. Well, apparently Friedman said in the quote that Swayman was considering. There's a big difference between considering and actually doing it. He was considering requesting a trade from the Boston Bruins. And I think that's a little surprising. To be honest, it is a little surprising, but it's also not because you see the way that they're treating him right now. You see the way that it's going right now. It wouldn't be surprised if he's considering his options now. The media loved this. They loved to feed into this. And they were like, Swayman's requesting a trade. And listen, on a level I understand it because listen, I make TikToks. I'm on Instagram as well. I do all that stuff. I do. It wouldn't be social media if you weren't doing it for clicks at times. Yes, I will admit to doing that. But, the media just overreacted to hell on this. They're acting like Swayman went to Sweeney and said, I want to leave. He's considering it. Now, we don't even know if he actually wants to. He's just considering it because I don't blame him. The way that this is all going, the way that those comments are coming, that should not be how it's run. That should not be how it is. The agent should not have to make a comment about negotiations. It's a whole, I get why Swayman's thinking it. And you also got to look at the perspective, too, of Boston. I look at Boston and I'm like, you traded away a Vezina goalie winner without the certainty that your other goalie was going to get signed. They gave Swayman all the leverage here, essentially. I don't blame Swayman for wanting $8 million or 8.5, which is this other report that I heard today, that the Bruins offered 7.8, but Swayman wants 8.5. So it's getting closer. Again, as I said, I would imagine it's going to end up somewhere in the middle, but you trade your Vezina winning goaltender without the certainty that your other one's locked up for the future. It gives Swayman leverage because, Swayman could just be like, I'm not going to sign a contract. No, not going to sign one. So, just half of it I don't understand. I understand there's a little bit of a dispute with, the money and just making those comments out to the media like what Cam Neely did, doing all of that, making the agent have to come out on social media and fight back, that's not how this should be done. It's not. Now, you can have an agreement, you can have not an agreement, you can. You can have a disagreement, I understand that, but making these comments on social media is just, it's ridiculous. So I blame Cam Neely a lot for the drama that is going down. I don't blame Swayman at all for considering a trade. And if he does consider a trade, I think that Sweeney, and this is something, I don't like to jump to conclusions like this, but I think that if Swayman requests out, I think Sweeney and Neely should be just done. Fire him. At least Sweeney. How do you mess this up? You have two really good goaltenders, a really good tandem. I understand trading one of them, but, I don't know. And the Bruins, too, they additionally went out and signed Lindholm, signed Zadorov to these big money, big contract deals before signing Swayman. I understand that there's like, you got to be active in free agency, but still, like, you should have money set up for your goaltender to sign. So, all in all, this is a really interesting, really, like, complicated situation. We're going to see where it goes. Honestly, I am not really changing my opinion that much on Boston. I haven't even mentioned in this video about, Younes Korpisalo and how he's your starting goaltender. Now, I'm not as worried as everyone else is because, again, you're talking about two different scenarios. You had Korpisalo, who was really good in Columbus, really good in LA for the short time he was there. Then he comes to Ottawa and he struggles. But you gotta understand that the last couple of seasons, not just this past year, but the last few years, it's really been a huge struggle for a lot of goalies in Ottawa. And I think under Boston's system, who has a history of so many good goaltenders, like you have Tuukka Rask, and then Omar comes in not long after, kind of rejuvenates his career, and then Swayman comes from your pipeline and plays awesome too, and now this whole situation. So, I'm not saying Korpisalo will be like Swayman or Omar or Rask, but he'll be better for sure. I'm not that worried, but if I'm picking between Korpisalo and Swayman, I'm picking Swayman. Like, come on. So, it does make me a little bit worried if we get to the point where it's December and he's not signed, which I would be shocked if we go through 2 months of the NHL season and Swayman's still not locked up. I would be shocked. I think we'll get to that point. I wouldn't even be surprised if this deal gets done by opening night. Like, if they sign Swayman by, like, Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 5th, it wouldn't surprise me. But, again, like, if we get to that point where we're, like, within 2 months of the season and we're getting up to that deadline and Swayman hasn't signed, then I'm extremely concerned. So, we'll see where this goes. Again, as I said, I know I kind of rambled a little bit here. This is a pretty long news video for it to be 12 minutes. Usually they're only like 5 to 6 minutes long. But again, this whole situation is just so frustrating to me. Even that, I'm not a Bruins fan, so that makes it even crazier. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is something that I will be making another video on for sure. When Swayman does sign a contract, whenever that may be, I will probably make a video on it and talk about it. This is going to make for some very fun Nordblock podcast and Nordcast episodes in this coming week. By the way, those are dropping tomorrow, Wednesday is Nordblock, and then Friday is Nordcast. So, yeah, again, very interesting. We'll see where this goes from here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. And anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.